U.S. Navy destroyer transits Taiwan Strait on same day as Chinese drills. A U.S. Navy guided missile destroyer sailed through the sensitive Taiwan Strait on Friday, the U.S. and Taiwan militaries said, the same day that Chinese fighter jets drilled in waters close to the democratically ruled island. China, which considers Taiwan its own, has been angered by the Trump administration's stepped-up support for the island, such as more arms sales, U.S. patrols near it, and a visit to Washington by Vice President-elect William Lai in February. Taiwan and China are also embroiled in a bitter spat about the former's lack of membership of the World Health Organization because of objections by Beijing, which views it as merely a Chinese province. The U.S. Pacific Fleet named the ship that sailed through the Taiwan Strait as the Arleigh Burke-class USS Barry. Barry is forward deployed to the U.S. 7th Fleet Area of Operations in support of security and stability in the Indo-Pacific region, it said in a brief statement on its Facebook page on Saturday. Taiwan's defense ministry said its armed forces monitored the ship as it sailed south through the waterway. It described the U.S. ship as being on an ordinary mission. Also on Friday, Taiwan said Chinese H-6 bombers and J-11 fighters again carried out drills above waters to its southwest. Taiwan's Air Force kept close watch, the ministry added. Taiwan has repeatedly complained of China continuing to apply military pressure during the virus crisis. Taiwan is China's most sensitive territorial and diplomatic issue, and Beijing has never ruled out the use of force to bring the island under its control. The narrow Taiwan Strait that separates the island from China is a frequent source of tension. The U.S. Navy has been stepping up patrols through the strait, with its last less than a month ago, prompting China to say the United States was playing a dangerous game with its support for Taiwan. The United States, like most countries, has no official relations with Taiwan, but is the island's most important international supporter and main source of arms. In January, another U.S. warship sailed through the strait, less than a week after President Tsai Ing-wen won a landslide re-election on a platform of standing up to China. Chinese officials and experts slammed the transit of a U.S. warship Wednesday through the Taiwan Straits, calling it a provocation timed to coincide with the release on the same day of China's new National Defense White Paper, which identified the opposition and containment of Taiwan independence as part of the Chinese military's fundamental goal. The timing could mean the U.S. is sending a high-profile signal to pressure China amid escalating tensions between the two countries, but this will only incite Taiwan secessionists, worsen the cross-strait security situation, and further damage China-U.S. relations, analysts said, while emphasizing that there is zero possibility that China will make any concessions when it comes to the Taiwan question. The Chinese side has been closely monitoring from start to end the passage by the U.S. warship through the Taiwan Straits. We have raised concerns to the U.S. side, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Hua Chunying said at a daily briefing on Thursday. The Taiwan question is the most important and sensitive one in China-U.S. relations. We urge the U.S. to observe the One China principle and the three China-U.S. joint communiques and prudently and properly handle Taiwan-related issues so as to avoid negative impacts on China-U.S. relations and peace and stability across the Taiwan Straits, Hua said. The USS Antietam, a Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser, conducted a routine Taiwan Straits transit from Wednesday to Thursday, CNN reported Wednesday, citing a statement by Clay Doss, a spokesman for the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet. This is the sixth time the US has sent warships through the Taiwan Straits this year, and the latest passage coincided with China's release on Wednesday of its latest national defense white paper, China's National Defense in the New Era. One of the aims of China's national defense is to oppose and contain Taiwan independence, according to the paper. The People's Liberation Army (PLA) will resolutely defeat anyone attempting to separate Taiwan from China and safeguard national unity at all costs, it said. If anyone dares to try to separate Taiwan from China, the Chinese military will not hesitate to go to war to resolutely safeguard the country's sovereignty and territorial integrity, Defense Ministry spokesperson Wu Qian stressed at a press conference on Wednesday. Li Jie, a Beijing-based naval expert, told the Global Times on Thursday that the US is intentionally provoking China, showing off to people, including Taiwan secessionists, that despite the White Paper's declarations, the US is still capable of challenging China. While the timing of the US warships' transit through the Taiwan Straits and the White Paper's release might actually be a coincidence, it remains clear that Washington has doubled down on its support for Taiwan in its strategic game with Beijing, Nai Feng, deputy director of the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences Institute of American Studies, told the Global Times on Thursday. Publicly announcing the warship's passage the same day as the White Paper's release clearly shows US intentions, the Chinese analyst said. By calling the transit a routine move, the US expects to avoid a strong response from China, but in fact, such moves will leave an impression that the US is continuing to take a strong stance against China, they said. The US move might further embolden Taiwan secessionists, which will further destabilize cross-straits relations, Li said. The US seems not to care about overall relations between China and the US, he said. Nai noted that by frequently sending naval vessels through the straits, the US is reneging on its promise to China, made when the two countries established diplomatic relations, shaking the very foundation of China-US relations. Neither the Taiwan secessionists nor the US will see the outcome they desire, as the island of Taiwan is and will always be part of China, analysts said. Some Taiwan internet users are also tired of the frequent presence of the US warships, with one posting on Facebook that the US was struggling for a sense of presence. The US is baring its fangs and showing its claws, but there is nothing there, really, read another comment from a Taiwan net user. If the time comes when the Chinese mainland is left with no choice but to reunify the island of Taiwan by force, the US will definitely not fight for the island, Chinese mainland analysts said.